This is what the fender bolts look like. And they go up underneath. Here we are inside the fender. And up on the top there's an example where one of them goes. And there's like 7 or 8 of these inside the wheel well. Oh man, I don't know if you can see that. Move the light. Yeah, that's better. Now, you constrict it a little bit by this splash plate inside the fender, and at the bottom of it is a little connecting bolt. Hold on a second, I'll move my light. Get back there. Okay, so there's this connecting bolt that goes through here, connects into this little piece that's attached to the fender. Now, of course, the first time I removed the fender, I was a little strong with that, had a hard time, and broke everything off. But in this case, the bolt actually came out with a little bit of BP blaster and a little bit of patience. So that's one that you might not notice, but it has to come off. Now, up inside the fender, there are a couple more on the other side of this splash plate. You could take the splash plate off, but I was able to actually get under the fender on my crawler and reach up under there and get fender bolts out from up inside here. There's 1 or 2 up in there on the other side of the splash plate. Now, in the front, there is a bolt. I hope you can see this. It's way up at the top. I'll put my finger on. I got to turn the light around again, sorry. There, now you might be able to, let's see. Okay, so there's a bolt tucked way up in there. And that one is the one that on the fender last year, I could never get it loose, and I kind of pulled it through and made a big hole in the fender. Because on the fender up there is I think it's a welded in bolt, and that's welded to the fender. And I just pulled the whole thing apart, and I had to, that's that thing where I had to, you'll see one of my videos that shows how I patched that hole that was left there. I haven't actually finished fixing the fender. I've got to fix that too. Anyway, this bolt hole, the only access was by getting down on the ground here and trying to reach up and squirt it. And then I realized that the splash plate that goes over here was blocking my access to try to get it from here, so you have to try to reach up there with your hand. Well, I realized this thing is useless, so I took it off. I took it off by basically breaking the bolt on the top, and the bottom fell off. The bottom bolt is still over here on the, over near the body to frame mount. Anyway, that came out, and now all of a sudden I have access, and I'm soaking that screw. That's the last one holding this fender in place, and it's a tricky one. Like I said, the best thing is just get rid of your old rotten front rear fender's front splash plate, and then you get access to that thing. I wish I'd have known that last year. Okay, so this is where that nasty bolt is at the top on the inside. It's just up in here, and now that I've been soaking it, I went back and forth a couple of times, and I should be able to move that off next. Okay, so that fender came off pretty easily once I got that last screw up in this hole up at the top here. Here is that left rear fender area. Here's the rear splash plate, which I have still not removed. Here's the area I was referring to before, where I had to reach up underneath to remove fender bolts in this area. There's a leftover one sitting in there for hanging fenders for trial fit. Here is a replacement front splash plate. I got this on eBay. You can buy them by the pair. I forget where I bought them from. So that's how that goes. And as you can see from the beginning of this video, I've been working on the sill. It's now welded into the side of the car. More on that in other videos. Over here is the fender that I removed, and you can see where the bolts go through the flange on the top of the fender. Over here at the front is the one place where the bolt actually comes in from the cockpit, going in this way, and goes into a hole in the flange with a fender bolt, a fender nut welded on the other side of that flange. And that's the area where on the same fender on the other side, I've got to actually repair that because I kind of ripped it apart on the other side. On this side, I didn't hurt the fender any in that area, but I did have a hole on the top of the B-post, which I think you've seen in one of my other videos. I've got videos on both B-posts. Both had holes at the top of them that needed to be repaired in the same area as where this bolt goes through and into this nut over here. That's what the fender looks like. These fenders, this fender's in pretty good shape along the bottom, except just like on my other fender, rear fender on the other side, someone has already done a repair over here, and I have not evaluated that as to whether or not I'll be able to keep that or not. On the other side, I definitely cut it out. I'm going to have to weld in a new piece, which I already have, and which I used when I fit the other side sill to make sure I'd have a good fit. Here's that bracket that I was showing you at the bottom. Down here, there's that bracket that attaches to the rear splash plate. You can, if you don't have one that's in good shape, this one looks like it's going to be okay. You can get these brackets from Clarke Spares and Restorations. So that's it for the little treatise on getting a fender off.